February 9th, Lakeville Public Library. We have, other than approving some minutes and announcements at the end, we have one agenda item. It is specifically for the Simmons Hill LLC hearing, which is being continued, and it's a request for a comprehensive permit under Mass General Law 40B to construct 200 units with 44 units to consist of single-family homes, 46 duplex cottages catering to an older demographic, and 11 and 10-unit condominium buildings, of which not less than 50 of such units shall be restricted as affordable for low or moderate income persons of families as required under the terms of the applicable state regulations and guidelines. The project is located off of Freetown Street. So we have the petitioner in front of us. I do want to read one item into the record, as we just, board just received this afternoon from our fire chief. It's from Mike O'Brien. Please be advised, and he's referring to a memo that was, or a letter that was sent out on June 17th of earlier, excuse me, I was going to say earlier this year, but we're in 2026, but June 17th last year. So please be advised that the attached correspondence was transmitted by a certified mail to the applicant. Delivery has been confirmed. However, this office has received no response to date. Following review of the proposed project location, the Lakeville Fire Department has formally determined that no adequate and reliable fire protection water supply currently exists within approximately 3.5 miles of the site. Specifically, there is no municipal or approved static water source capable of meeting the required fire flow in accordance with 527 CMR 1.0 and applicable reference standards. Additionally, the recent closure of the Gray's swimming pool has resulted in the loss of approximately 140,000 gallons of previously accessible static water that had been available for the fire department through fixed plumbing connections. While not a substitute for a compliant fire protection water system, this resource had supplemental emergency operations in the surrounding area. At this time, I am not aware of any discussion by the respective boards addressing the fire protection water deficiency identified by this department. In the absence of an engineered solution that provides an adequate and reliable fire protection water supply, construction of residential structures at the location would not comply with 527 CMR 1.0 Massachusetts Comprehensive Fire Safety Code. Accordingly, the fire department would be unable to approve occupancy or issue required compliance documentations pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 148, including Section 26F certificates where applicable. Please note that the resolution of the fire protection water requirement may necessitate significant modifications to the site plan. The installation of cisterns or the extension of municipal water infrastructure would require additional engineering review and regulatory approvals. The fire department remains available to provide further clarification as needed. Respectfully, Michael P. O'Brien, Fire Chief of Lakeville Fire Department. I read that into the record just so the applicant is aware that you need to make sure that you are in compliance with any and all regulations when it comes to fire safety. So again, just for the record, make sure you're aware of that through this process. Having said that, it's been a few months at a minimum here, and you folks have continued as you were working on engineered plans, and I believe, because you submitted some to us, that you have some changes you're going to be proposing. So I will turn it over, identify yourself, and tell us where we are.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, for your record, my name is Robert Mather, and I represent the applicant. Yes, in regard to the fire chief's letter, of course, we are certainly well aware that we must comply with the fire protection systems, CMR. The letter was not ignored. Of course, that is something that we intended to and will address in our engineering phase. Obviously, we have to comply with the fire protection requirements of CMR. Quite frankly, if we can't comply with that, we can't do the project, and intend to do so. Of course, what the fire chief saw was a previous proposal, and one of the reasons we're here is we're making a very substantial change in the proposal that was submitted. So actually, for the purposes here, I'd like to go back in time a little bit. So if you, on the board, what you're going to see is two things. I believe the board has individual copies also. The initial proposal is shown on the top. Very briefly, to show you what that was. This entire site is, and not the original proposal, the entire site out there that is owned by the applicant is 320 acres. The original proposal was to develop 184.6 acres of the site, which is 57% of the site. The proposal was 200 residential units. The first proposal had 44 single-family homes with a minimum lot area of 10,000 square feet, minimum frontage of 80 feet. There was a proposal for, as I said, 44 single-family homes, 46 duplex homes, and 110 condominium homes. Those condominium homes would have been in 11 two-story, 10-unit buildings. Now, we made a couple of changes off of that. We went from that to still developing just a portion of the site, went down to just single-family homes with a, between individual single-family, all single-family homes, but with a mix of single-family homes with 25% affordable and also 25% of over 55. But that was still just developing a portion of the site. So during the process, there were, of course, multiple issues, but there were two big issues. We heard the board, we heard the public. There were two big issues. A big issue regarding traffic, of course, and a couple of big questions. One question that came up multiple times is, can you provide an alternate access out onto County Street? Developer owned property out onto County Street, but it was over the portion of the property that was not proposed to be developed. The other question was, what are you going to do with the rest of the property? The honest answer to the rest of the property was, we don't really know what it was. There were proposals for a commercial development, warehouse use, not zoned for warehouse use. There was some proposal by the town to rezone it for that, but that original proposal by the planning board, but that was withdrawn. Really didn't know what the rest of the property was going to be developed for. Potential residential use, really didn't know. And we understand that that was a big question mark on the part of the town, the boards, the residents. We're doing a 200-unit 40B. Is there something else coming afterwards? Listening to these concerns, the developer took a hard look at the project and has come up with what we think is a very fair compromise that we believe that the town and hopefully the neighbors would like. The new proposal develops the entire site, 100% of the site, well, almost 100%. There is an 8.8 parcel. Rami, can you point to that on that? There's an 8.8 parcel out on County Street, right up there in the corner, that we're going to leave for potential commercial development. I'm going to talk about what that means. But all the rest of the property is going to be developed. So there's no longer any question about what are you going to do with the rest of the property, because all the rest of that property is being left as open area. Will not be developed. The new proposal develops 100% of the site. In addition to that, to solve the other big issue that was brought up, is there's going to be a third entrance and exit out onto County Street, right where Rami's showing right there. So you'll see that that will provide a third. The other two entrances remain the same. That's going to give an alternate access out onto County Street. You'll notice that is just north of the interchange. So this is developing, instead of developing 57% of the the site as was originally proposed. This develops the entire site. If you were to do some calculations, you would see that the open space that's being left is 57.3% of the entire parcel. The proposal is 199 single-family dwellings. There's going to be a mix between regular, we'll call it regular single-family, and age-restricted. There's going to be 141 lots. What Rami is circling there, that's the age-restricted. There's going to be 58 over 55 age-restricted. That's right at the entrance to the new entrance out onto County Street. The remainder of the property is regular, no age restricted. It still, of course, is an affordable home project. That means that 25% or 50 of the lots would be affordable, restricted for affordable use. That 50 will be proportionately divided between the over 55 and the non-age restricted. As far as the lot sizes, the average lot size, well, let's start with the frontage. The non-age restricted, all those lots will have 100 feet of frontage, and the average lot size is just over, it's 20,000 square foot plus. The minimum lot size is 15,000, so with frontage of 100 feet. On the age-restricted, the average lot size is 12,000 square feet, and those lots all have 90 feet of frontage. For reference point, if anyone has been through this developer's other project at LeBaron, the single-family dwellings there have an average lot size of 8,000 square feet. So you can see that these are almost 3 times the size of what is at LeBaron. So again, as I mentioned, very important, the new proposed access provides a third access directly out onto County Street. Although we, of course, believe that this can do nothing but improve the traffic impact of the project, we've ordered a new traffic study, which we expect to have in 2 weeks. We're going to present that to the board as soon as it's received. The other issues, we're kind of starting over again. So if you remember the way we did it last time, we addressed certain issues, the big issues that we know needed to be addressed. First one was traffic. So we presented a traffic study. We brought in an engineer who made a presentation to the board. The board sent that to your review engineer. He came in and he made his traffic study. We'd like to do an abbreviated presentation of that. We don't think it would be necessary to do 2 meetings there. What we'd like to do is submit a new traffic study, which, as I mentioned, we would have ready in a couple of weeks, and suggest that the board submit that to your traffic review engineer, and maybe we could then have a meeting with both engineers. No need to have a separate one. Bring them both in. We'll make our presentation, and then the town review engineer can make his or her review of that. Our other issues, how we differ from the original proposal. Septic, for example. In the original proposal, there was going to be a sewage treatment plant. This project will not require a sewage treatment plant. There will be 9 septic systems. You can see them there. There's 9 of them. They will serve, each one will serve 18 to 19 dwellings. The systems will pump, I believe, is it 9,000, about approximately 9,000 gallons per day. They're Presby septic systems. The water. In the previous submission, there was going to be a community well. In this submission, there'll be individual wells on the lots. Again, the wells will be located in the front yards. There's plenty of room because there's 100 feet of frontage, so there's no issues with any setbacks in regard to any of the septic systems. We also do want to note, because we've mentioned to the board in the past, and it's been talked about whether there's a possibility of bringing water in from the city of New Bedford through Freetown. That's still a possibility. My client is willing to participate in that and to share in a potential cost of that. Again, provided it can be done timely, so that it is time for this project. That's still a possibility. It's not something that we can do just for this project. It's too big of a project that would have to be shared with the town. I know the town is interested in having this for the school. I know there's some other proposed projects down the road a bit. So that's, excuse me, that's still a possibility. I did mention the fire suppression systems. Again, of course, that's an important issue. And of course, we have to comply with the CMR regulations. And if we can't do the project. That is something, one of the first things that we will do with the engineering. And now that we know, again, assuming, it's a big assumption, assuming that the board is okay with this new concept and okays us to go to engineering for this, one of the very first things we'll do is, because that will affect the type of project that we engineer, we'll work closely with the fire chief on fire protection systems. Let me mention that commercial lot that I mentioned, 8.8 acres. Rami, again, up in the corner on County Street. What we've learned is that the ZBA actually has, just like the ZBA has the authority to waive dimensional requirements. So when somebody comes in with a 40B project, you can waive frontage requirements. The normal frontage requirements is 175 feet of frontage, 70,000 square feet lots. You can waive that. You can waive all the dimensional requirements. It's our belief that you can waive usage requirements. And so we would propose a possible commercial development of that 8.8 acres. We understand that this would need to be approved through mass housing, and that Lakeville Town Council would have to agree with it. But I want to make sure you understand, this is not a contingency. We're not here saying that we'll only do this new proposal if we can develop this piece for proposed commercial. Not the case. We're doing this, we're proposing this new project. We think that having a commercial area would be a benefit to a project like this. There could be some small retail uses, such as small restaurants, small retail, dry cleaner, uses that would be acceptable and would be beneficial to a 200-unit subdivision and the houses in the area. Again, not a contingency, something that we believe that if the mass housing confirms that it's something that can be done, and the board likes the proposal, it's something that we would like to suggest. We also understand, as I mentioned, we're kind of starting over again. Right? So what did we do last time, too? We had a meeting regarding archaeological issues. We hired a company that did an archaeological study. The company, they didn't study the entire site because we weren't going to disturb the entire site. We're still not disturbing the entire site, But yes, we are disturbing some areas that weren't proposed to be disturbed before. So that means we got to do another study, or not a full study, of course. We need to supplement the study that was done before. So we are contacting PAL, Public Archaeological Laboratories. We're going to ask them to do a supplement to the study. And that's something that we would present to the board. We're willing to work with the board. We're also willing to work to preserve the open space areas as far as who helps us to preserve that in the future, as to who will own that and who will maintain that. We're open to suggestions in regard to the open area. So again, sort of a recap. If you divide the entire site by the number of units, surprisingly, it comes out to 1 unit every 70,200 square feet. Interesting, because 70,000 square feet is what our zoning bylaw requires for a single-family dwelling. So it is a cluster development, is what it really is, because that's what a cluster development is. You take an entire site where your development would be on 70,000 square foot lots, rather than checkerboard it up to 70,000 square foot lots, using up basically every inch of the site. You develop it on smaller lots, and you keep the open space available. We don't have cluster zoning in Lakeville. We will, hopefully soon, but this isn't cluster zoning, but it works like cluster zoning. We're taking an entire site, and we're developing it in such a manner that the effective use of it is equal to a cluster development. So I'd like to ask if the board has any questions. Again, so what would I like to see tonight? Well, I would like to get the board's blessing to go forward. Forward means go to engineering, or go further with this. As I've suggested, our next immediate step, I think, should be traffic. It's always been and will continue to be the biggest issue. We're ready. We'll be ready in 2 weeks with our study. Whether the board feels we can make it in time for the March meeting, it's up to you, or the April meeting. My suggestion is that we do it with both our traffic engineer and your traffic engineer, and then we proceed from there. We'd like to go forward with the archaeological study, and we know we've got issues with the Conservation Commission. We've got a little bit of a problem right now because of the weather. Can't do that until the snow leaves and the ground unfreezes. But if we address the traffic first, by the time we take care of that, I think it would be appropriate for us to move on with those other issues. So at this point, if the board has any questions or anyone else has any questions, we'd like to hear what you think of our new proposal.
So I think what we'll start off with is, I guess I'd open it up to the board to see if they have any questions or what they think of the new concept. I mean, in theory, to kind of sum everything up, you're going to develop the whole property, so there'll be more open space overall, correct?
Correct.
The only thing in addition to the residential development that you're talking about is the 8.8 acres, which you want to leave for commercial, which I believe what you said, and I do believe it is correct, but we'll obviously confirm it with council.
Correct, but not a contingency.
Right, we have the ability to turn around
Yes.
and permit that. But if for some reason it doesn't work out, or we don't like it, or the state says you can't do it, or there's some issue there, it's not contingent. If that
Correct.
doesn't work out, you're not holding anyone hostage. Just say
Correct.
we need that in order to get this. You're still open to the possibility of the water line from New Bedford. Understood. I heard you loud and clear. You guys can't literally handle that all yourself from a cost standpoint. But in addition to your development, you'd be willing to participate in getting it up to the schools as well.
Yes.
Not guaranteed or anything, but if it works out, you're open to that.
Absolutely.
Okay. We have a second means of egress, we'll call it, or an entry down by County Street, which I know was a big issue that a lot of the residents had. They live up there, but in general around town, just because that's the main thoroughfare, we'll call it, to the schools, which they were concerned we're going to add a lot more traffic at that point. So I do have one question in regards to that, and obviously, we'll have our traffic engineer review your revised plans. You were gonna add an extra lane down the bottom. Does that change this, or are we waiting to hear from the traffic?
Mr. Chairman, my name is Mohammed Itani. I'm part of the development team. Initial talk with our traffic engineer, he's saying there is no need to have the four-way stop sign anymore. It does not meet the requirement to allow for a three-way stop sign at that intersection with Freetown Street. The lane itself, the right-hand turn, now it's not, we can still add it. We said it's no longer needed because a lot of the traffic that's going to make a right from our community is going to be taking the new access from County Street. We're probably still going to keep it, but I don't think it's going to be required, but it will improve the condition of the intersection the way it exists today. But again, he has to come up with his final report. He mentioned to me that intersection, what we were trying to do is put
It's not
three-way.
required to redesign it to the extent you were, but if
That's
our
correct.
engineer comes back after your engineer reviews it and if we believe it's a benefit, you're still
That's
willing
correct.
to add that extra lane if it's going to help
That's
resolve
correct.
traffic issues, which there are traffic issues up there anyway, so we may benefit from getting that
Yeah,
extra
no,
turn
he
lane.
said, the point he was actually bringing, at one time, he suggested that we put three-way stop signs.
Right, no, I remember
at
that, yeah.
intersection. He's saying now it doesn't meet that requirement, and Mass DOT probably will not approve it. Apparently, there are certain requirements, certain number of cars going through that intersection that would make it acceptable to DOT. Now we fall under that threshold.
Understood. And if the board's consensus is, we think this is a better option and want to move forward with it, I guess this is repetitive, but we're going to go through each step again. We're not saying it needs to start from scratch, but obviously because of the supplemental nature of what you guys are doing here, we already said the traffic study, we need that updated, we need the archaeological updated. Obviously, you haven't given us engineering plans at this point. That's the reason we continued it for so long, but we would need to get those as well. You need to deal with Concom. So without going down the laundry list, I don't want to say we're going to start from scratch, but whatever we haven't done, we're going to need to do, and whatever has changed, we're going to need to update all of that information.
That's correct. And understand that we've been working on the engineering, so they've been perking, and so it's not like,
It's not like we're going to continue this for another 9 months.
that's right.
So,
That's right. We've
understood.
been well along on the engineering.
Okay. At this point, I'll open it up to the rest of the board to comment or ask questions about the revisions.
One question. Road B off Freetown Street, the entrance that the residents had a problem with, or the most problem with, I'd say. Any chance you're willing to get rid of that entrance at all? Nix it.
Which one?
Road B, which is just after the corner on Freetown Street, where everyone keeps saying is a bad corner.
The
Might
new
be
entrance,
possible
the
to
new
get rid of it?
entrance you're creating, the existing one is already there.
My feeling is that the fire department would require some kind of access over there.
Okay.
And if the fire department determines that they only need an emergency egress, so this will be gated, where the fire department can go through it, but it will not be open to traffic. But we're gonna be talking to the chief, so, and then we will listen to his recommendations. I've heard that floated before, and we're willing and open to do it, yeah.
So if the fire,
Again, pending fire chief's approval.
so if the fire chief is, you're not married to have that
We're not.
open to everyone. If
We're
the
not.
fire chief says it's safe and the consensus is they'd rather not have it open to the public to cut down on the traffic, you're fine with that?
That's correct.
I have two
Sure.
questions, if I could.
You're up.
So I'm curious to hear a little bit more on the statement you made about the water line and potentially running a water line into the development, into your community, right? And what you meant by shared, right? I put that in quotes because that's what you stated, right? So I'd like you to kind of expand on that a little bit more for me. Give me kind of an expectation of how that would work, like where you're running the water line up into the community. Okay, that's the first question. The second question is, I feel like this is obviously gonna be impacting a lot of the abutters that are on Freetown Street and potentially on the back side of that area, right? So imagine, and I can point to that too, if you, particularly lots 1 through 7, 85 to 87 here, this cluster and these down here. Like, I don't know how close these are to existing homes in those neighborhoods, right? But I imagine when they built their homes and envisioned kind of their lots, that they wouldn't have neighbors as close in proximity to their existing homes, right? So what I'm asking you, Mr. Antoni, is will you consider providing some more relief for those abutters with those lots, 1 through 7, 85 through 87, 188 through 199, to give them a little more space, so they don't have to see these new neighbors right in their backyard. They're looking into their new bedrooms, right? Not only that, they're gonna get the noise and the disruption with construction, right? So to me, that's a major disruption, and I don't know how that impacts their valuation. I'm not I'm not a forecaster of how those might impact their home values, but I'm sure that's gonna be somewhat impactful if you could see someone's new house right straight through your backyard, okay? So those are my two questions. One is the water line, and two is those abutting lots.
Well, the water line, it all depends on the total cost of the water line. I know that the property down the street from the school, they would like to share in the cost of the water line as well. So we have the school as well as the 600 acres down the street from the school, and this property. If all three of us will share in the cost of it, as long as the cost is reasonable, we're willing to participate in it. It'll be, to us, the benefit is that I don't have to drill 199 wells. So we'll look at the cost, and we'll determine whatever cost they come up with, if it's feasible for us to participate or not.
Okay, so who's who's gonna make the exercise of actually doing the cost assessment for the construction and running that water line?
I mean, my understanding is that the owners of the property, the 600 acres, are talking to the town or to somebody, and they're interested in bringing it in. And I said I will participate. I was approached, and I said I'll be happy to participate if that plan ever happens. Now, of course, there's timing issues. If it's going to take 10 years for that water line to become a reality, I don't think we'll be able to wait. If it's something that's going to happen within a year or two, we'll be more than happy to participate in the cost, running it up to our community. That's the answer to the water thing.
So,
As
Mohammed,
far-
let me cut you off for 1 second here to maybe make a reminder here. to get some more clarity to Jerry's question, which I'm interested in as well, I think a lot of people are, is let's make that a talking point at our next meeting, whether we, you need to reach out to the town to get some more information as far as, and I understand, there's other components to this that are out of your control, but I think it would be helpful for us and everybody to understand exactly what that entails and what we mean by we say we're willing to participate. I have no doubt you're willing to participate, but if we're willing to participate, but the towns are saying, listen, we're just not going to sign off on this, or we don't want to participate, or somebody else, their participation is $100, that's not really going to help anybody here. So at least give us a better understanding.
I mean, it's going to be
yeah.
significant. I think it was around 3 months or something, so we're looking at $4 or $5 million
Well,
cost.
my point is, we don't know, nobody has all that information. So
That's
maybe
correct.
let's make a concerted
That's
effort
correct.
to try to gather as much information
The
as we
town will
can
have
for the
to
next meeting.
spearhead that discussion with Freetown and New Bedford. Because we're bringing the town to Lakeville, and there is a benefit to the school that serves Lakeville and Freetown. So I would think Freetown, again, I don't know, but Freetown will be amenable to allow the water line to run through Freetown, because it's going to be picking up the water line from Freetown, but using New Bedford water that Lakeville has an allocation from that water as well. And they do have the capacity. We met with the town of New Bedford, and they did acknowledge that they have the capacity to serve those communities we're talking about.
No, understood, but let's make sure we get an update
Yeah.
as to where
Okay.
that is.
And it's important to note, we started the process here. We met with the city of New Bedford to see if this was possible. And,
Right, this isn't the first time, this came
Right.
up months ago.
yeah,
but
we started it,
let's-
we went to them to see if they would consider this. And they said that they would, they had the availability.
Okay.
We have to go through Freetown also. They thought Freetown would be amenable to it. But again, Mohammed can't pay the $4 to $5 million. It doesn't make sense. And when we're talking his participation, we're not talking $4 to $5 million, but we're not talking $100. We're talking a good substantial participation in it.
Probably in the $1 million range up to our property. So if the school is doing something and the other property is doing something else. So even by bringing it up to our property, we still have to put the infrastructure and the fire hydrants and all those things within our property. Something along the neighborhood of $1 million is reasonable.
Right. When you say the schools, you mean the towns, so.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's Freetown and Lakeville, right? Because it's.
No, what would be helpful is I think we need some more information, because if Freetown, for example, or Lakeville says, we want nothing to do with this, it kind of stops
That's correct.
Yeah.
there.
That
So
basically
let's
stops it.
find out and have that conversation get
That's
started,
correct.
so.
My understanding is that they need water at the school, and because their wells are not functioning properly, so it becomes the call of the
Your
town.
understanding is correct, yes. It would be beneficial to the schools. So, sorry, the second question that Jerry had regards to the neighbors' setbacks.
Yeah,
things like
as
that.
far as the setbacks, we really don't have too much room to try. Now, I know those houses and those lots look tiny, but those are half-acre lots. So, if you look at the width of the house that's proposed, that's a 60-foot wide. So if you look at the 60-foot, the backyard is another 120 feet. And then the neighbors, the houses sit closer to Freetown Street rather than to the back. So probably there's going to be 300 feet separation between the houses, the back of houses, the way things exist today. The ones on the left, we left a lot of open space because we can.
Which
you
ones
know,
are you talking about now?
The ones, number
Are you talking about 85?
80 to 87. You can see there's a lot of open space behind those lots. What's the screen? Yeah. So there is already a lot of space left over there. The ones that are at the entrance were really limited by the wetland line and having to have houses on both sides. I think this is, and the ones that go on the other side as well, there's a huge separation between us
Yeah, I'm
and
not
the
familiar with
neighbors.
that area, but I know Freetown Street. I've seen the houses on Freetown Street.
Yeah,
but I
they're
don't know
pretty
the
far.
left-hand side, like I was asking.
Can I piggyback a question?
Yeah.
To your question? The lots on the left, so the depth of the lot, how much preservation?
The ones,
Woods and trees will be
Will you,
left.
will you keep a tree line there, or are you gonna clear cut the lot?
yeah, we can keep, you know, a 20-foot tree line. Yeah, we can keep a 20-foot tree line. you know.
What actually is the depth of the lot?
Rami, we had another plan that superimposed the subdivision on existing tree canopy. Oh, here you go. So if you don't mind, yeah, zoom out. You can see where the houses on Freetown Street are. They're pretty far from the backyards of those houses that we're proposing.
So I'm actually
Left.
talking about the left side.
Those lots are around 200 feet deep, the ones that we have. And again, those look really tiny, but remember, this is a 300-acre site. And to fit it on a page, things look much smaller than they really are. So
So 180 feet,
it's around 180, yeah.
preserving 20,
So I don't mind
On the
preserving
backside.
a tree line
Yeah.
on both sides of
I would
around
think,
20.
especially in the wintertime, when, like, there's no foliage,
Yeah, but
20,
still,
20 feet doesn't seem,
backyard to backyard, or back of house to back of house, you're looking at 300 feet, at least 300 feet.
Perhaps we can provide you with some information on the actual distances.
okay,
That
sure.
would be helpful, yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't
Yeah,
you
we'll
provide,
do that.
provide the distances and then figure out how the biggest tree line you can leave?
Okay,
Because the more tree line, the better.
yeah, we can do that.
Are we able to ask questions?
Yeah, you will, you'll have time.
Oh, we'll
Yeah,
have time.
it goes through, just so, for anybody who hasn't been before, the board will ask questions, then I'll ask for public comment. And for the record, you're gonna ask questions to the board. You're not necessarily gonna get answers all the time, because the applicant isn't required to answer them, but you will have time for public comment.
So can I, oh, Chris, go ahead.
Back to the water. When you talk about the 600-acre site, I'm guessing is the one on Holland Road?
Yeah.
And if that's the case, would you envision the water line, or they envision the water line going down Holland Road and not Freetown Street?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna look at the total cost, and we will decide how to divide it. But I would think our share up to our lot, our side should be around $1 million.
Or would you envision it coming from the Holland?
How's it gonna get there? What
No,
roads are
it
gonna use?
wouldn't. There's too much wetlands to cross. We do have access, you can see it that in red back. We do have access from Howland, but it's not accessible. Even though we do have the land that ties it, it's not accessible.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at, if the development on Holland is part of this, would they be proposing it go down Holland? And then you'd have to say, no, we really want to go down county and up Freetown? For this project?
We'll go up Freetown, and then we will enter into the access road that we were just talking about.
Just to confirm that, there's water I know coming up on County past 140, right? That's where
Not
the
on
water
County,
lines
it's coming down from
stops.
Howland. It's coming down from the back.
Holland, okay. I thought there was water underneath up to 140 on County, because that was the original discussion last year.
Not to my knowledge.
Quick question on the Howland development. Do we know at what stage they are on?
I don't know anything about it. All I know is that, you know, I got a phone call, said would be willing to participate.
Yeah.
And I said, sure.
I'm just trying to think, like, what the likelihood of all three parties getting in sync on timing that would suit your development.
Last time I
Seems
gave
like a
it-
lot of moving
I gave
parts.
it a 20% chance, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly, when we were in the meeting. I would like to do it. I mean, it definitely will help us. You know, I mean, as long as it's done, the timing is gonna be an issue. I see time as being an issue. Those projects can take a long time for approvals. I can see that as an issue. So it all depends how fast the town moves.
Is there a way to not sure how you can structure it, but is there a way to participate even if the timing is not lined up?
Well, I think that would be more so on the other project, because if they're gonna start later, because I know that there's, I don't know exactly what's gonna happen up there, but I do know, I believe they want to eventually develop it, so they may be a little behind them, but I think to your point, if they, maybe if, you know, ultimately, and that's why, rather than delve too deep into this, let's get an update at the next
Yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
subsequent meetings, but long story short would be, maybe they commit to participating
That-
now,
that's what I
so that
mean.
that allows you to start when you're gonna start, so, but again, we're kind of talking about what ifs at this point, so. Other questions from the, did you have another one, Chris? Joe, you good for now?
I have two more.
Go for it.
Okay. One, just going back to the abutting, you have a septic system, you know, up at the top, close to Freetown Street. Just a concern about, you know, how that is gonna be managed. You know, I'm not quite sure.
Is that
what's-
which
Yep,
one is that?
That septic system next to lots 1 through 8, or 1 through 7. And then the second thing is.
This one. Yeah,
Yep,
I mean, that's gonna be a regular septic system. It's no different than the septic system that people have in their houses.
fine, okay.
And we're using the Presby system, which is a lot more environmentally sensitive than what is used in a home system.
Okay. And then the last question I have is, you know, I noticed with this new proposal, there's not any open space concept provided. In other words, there's no kind of parks or walking, I don't know what sidewalks, if you're providing any
There's gonna be
sidewalks.
sidewalks, at least on one side of the street.
No, they're talking
So-
the open space.
Oh, the open space itself to try to do like,
Well, you gotta accommodate 199 households, right? So it'd be good to have some kind of open
Like
space.
walking paths or
A park or
general
dog park
area.
or whatever, right? To accommodate
I
everybody.
mean, the whole site is walkable. I mean, the front of the site is very thick, the vegetation is very thick, but in the back, it really isn't. It's very easy to walk through it, and there isn't much vegetation. So what, I mean, I don't know if the board, you know, I mean, now it's probably not feasible, but in the future, if you walk the site, technically the road, because we were doing perks all over the place, so, and we staked the road the way it shows on the plan, and then we did perk tests on right and left every 400 feet or something, just to tell us the soil conditions over there. So it's actually walkable now, the whole site is walkable. You know, and then if you want to start doing cart paths and stuff like that, that creates issues with conservation and stuff like that, we'd rather stay away from.
Okay. Sorry, I got one more, actually. So with this development, you're not gonna do this in phases. This is all gonna be one phase, is that correct?
No,
And then-
we're committed to what we said in the past, that for the market, for the market rate houses, we're limited to 20 houses per year.
Yep.
This way, it will allow the town to absorb the extra students at the schools or traffic, and it's gonna be a 5, 6, 7-year project.
Right. So when do the affordable units become constructed and made available? When do?
At the same time, so every 3 market rates that we build, we have to do an affordable.
Just one more question.
You guys can have as many questions as you want, that's what we're here for.
I'm just curious on the ledge. Do you have any information on, like, how substantial that
It's
is?
not bad at all, actually. We were surprised because we did a lot of perk tests in there. There are outcroppings where we show them on the plan. But anything outside of that is nice gravel.
Yeah, but the depth of the ledge, like,
We did our perk test and soil observation down to 12 feet. So most of them, we did not encounter any. Immediately around those boulders, you can see the ground, you know, dropping. But then past that, we don't have any.
okay,
You know, I'm sure we're gonna hit ledge every now and then,
right.
but it's not as bad as it looks.
You can give us a little more detail. You can,
Sorry, yeah.
yeah. he was just asking a question about ledge, and I'm going to follow up. Yeah, oh, I'm going to follow up right now. He said there wasn't much, but what I was going to recommend is that when we get engineering back, make sure they incorporate how much ledge.
They will have the soil data, actually, yes.
Good? Good for now?
Good, thank you.
Okay, so at this point, what I'm going to do is invite anyone who has public comment, come on up, state your name, your address, and then ask the question or make the public comment through me. And if it's a comment, that's great. If it's a question, we'll try to answer it, or we'll ask the petitioner if they would like to answer it. Again, they're not obligated to answer anything. It's just for us to take in the information or questions or concerns that anyone at the meeting has.
It's right here.
Yep, right there, that's the one, yep.
Good evening.
Hi. Just state your name and your address for the record, please, sir.
My name is Darrell Wixon. I'm from the Wampanoag Nation. I live in Mashpee, 149 Meeting House Road. My family comes from this area. I come from the line of Tuscan, Chief Tuscan. I've been coming to this place since I was a kid. My uncle used to take me here. There's nothing that can be done to alter this that would be environmental. Any alteration to this place will be a devastating outcome. This area has burial sites in there. It's also a place where our ceremonies were done for thousands of years. To alter this place will devastate the people that are living in this place and all our relatives, the animals, the birds, what have you. There's a circle, and this is a circle of life. And there's other areas that have already been disrupted that can be used for your purpose of what you need it for. But this place here, you're making a bad decision. And since you don't come from the area, you have no passion for this place. I don't know how long I'll be on this planet, but I would like to save this place for our children to enjoy, be able to see what the place looks like when they reach our ages. So I recommend that this place does not get touched. All my relations.
Go ahead.
Was there a phase one? Name is Jonathan Wixon. I'm his son.
Okay.
I live at right outside West Point. Do I have to give my exact address? Or I have 3 different addresses.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
3 different addresses, like
What's your home address?
71 Church Street. It's in Alexandria Bay.
Perfect. Okay.
Was there like a phase one or phase two conducted in this area as well?
In regards to this project?
Yes, yep.
No.
No?
No,
Is that
this
required before you guys perform a development? Or, I'm not sure about Massachusetts.
No, this is a 40B that needs to get, it needs to clear some hurdles with the state first, and once they receive their okay, then it comes to us. So
Okay.
that's where we are at this juncture.
And then the archaeological study that was completed, did they bring up anything? I addressed it to you guys, right?
Yeah,
Did they
you-
bring up anything in regard to any kind of burial sites or, the community using this area for some of the stuff that my father just mentioned?
They didn't bring up anything that, again, the original proposal that they submitted, there was nothing that was going to be disturbed that was of concern. But like I said, they're going to go back and redo the areas that they haven't touched at this point, so.
Okay, and then you said that you guys are going to be doing it the next 2 weeks, and there's roughly about 1.5 feet of snow out there. I mean, could we,
The next 2 weeks, their reference was the traffic study. They have all the
Oh,
data.
okay.
And basically what they're going to go do, because they're adding a second entrance now.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
is what a lot of people asked for. So
Yeah.
we're going to get that finished. It'll get submitted to us. Our engineer will review it, and then we'll reconvene at that point. That's the first step. As far as going out and finishing the archaeological study or doing conservation, the petitioner actually referred to, they probably can't do any of that right now because there's.
Exactly. Okay, then we're on the
1.4
same
snow
page.
out there, so.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
I have more questions, but I'll just talk to my dad.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who else? I'm sure we have some other questions or comments.
My name is James Andrade from PS Avenue, Lakeville. I'd like to know who's going to finance this project?
Who's going to finance the project?
What bank is going to finance this project? Where they get their money from to build this project?
I have no idea, and I'm hesitant, but I'll go ahead and ask. They have no obligation to get into that aspect of it as
Well,
far
that's
as
very
our
important.
concern, so.
Because every LLC, you know what an LLC is?
I do know what an LLC is, sir.
Limited Liability Corporation.
So.
Limited Liability Corporation.
So just for the record, so everyone's clear, what we're looking at is the site and what they're developing and safety issues and meet certain compliance issues, not the funding source.
Yeah,
The
but
funding
that should be
source-
also important for the town, and make them float a bond just in case. If they can't get the finance and they start this project and they pull out, we're stuck with this mess.
Understood,
Understood?
understood.
Because I spent 34 years as a revenue agent, and I see these LLCs, and I see these projects go under, the bank comes first, the federal government second, the state second, the town is gone.
You are correct.
Okay.
Hello, Noel Rillo, Reservoir Ave. I don't know, when you began your talk, you mentioned the minor problem of the traffic, the traffic is one of the problems, but there are other issues that you haven't mentioned here that are significant. One of them being the bedrock in there, which it's not just a matter of building these houses. In order to build these houses, you're talking about blasting operations. Blasting operations in a heavily populated area already. So you're talking about the impacts on people that live in these neighborhoods, their foundations, their wells. So there's that. So there's the geological problem with that. There's the archaeological implications. Then there's the water issue, and it doesn't sound like you've really made the plans for the water yet. And by the way, if you're talking about involving the town financially in paying for the water, I think you might want to watch.
Watch out, that's on wheels.
You
don't
might
fall
want to
over no one.
watch some of the meetings and get a better sense of where this town is financially, because we can't help you. I don't know how else to put it. Pay attention to what's going on in Lakeville, because we can't help you. And there are other issues I'm not even going to go into. Those septic installments, I really don't know what to say about all that, but visually, if you want to get an idea what this is going to look like, go into LeBaron, because that's what it's probably going to look like, unless there is some kind of changes made. But those other things are critical. The water, blasting operations. Let's talk about these fundamental things before we start talking about the other details, which it seems like you're putting before the fundamental of this project. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who has a question or a comment?
I got another one. She brought up something that I wanted to.
Go ahead.
Was there an environmental impact statement completed?
Is there an environmental impact statement completed?
Yeah, something like they do biological inventories, local plant life, local habitats, what she brought up with water. In New York, we have a
So-
Department of Environmental Conservation. They usually
So
monitor.
they have to go through what's called Conservation Commission.
Yep.
Which is outside of this board. This board, if the Conservation Commission doesn't allow it, it never makes it past this board. So they do have to
Okay.
go through that process. It's just not with this board.
Okay. All right. I think that's.
Hello, Sue.
Hi, Susan Spieler, 10 Valley Road. Question on the commercial property. How can the zoning be changed if it doesn't go to town meeting? I don't understand how the zoning board can just change that zoning.
Well, we all learn stuff all the time, and I didn't realize that too up until a few weeks ago. And based on the size of the project, and I don't want to get into too much detail only because I'm not legal counsel and not overly versed in it, but based on the size of a project, and I can ask counsel to explain that for the petitioner, but there is the ability for us to carve out one section and permit it for that, so.
And this is coming from town council?
Town council, yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Do you want to expand on that at all? Attorney
As I
Mather?
mentioned before, in regard to zoning, as the board knows, you waive, to do a project like this, you waive significant aspects of the zoning. You waive the frontage requirement, you waive area requirement, you can waive setback requirement, you can waive multiple aspects of the zoning. According to what we've learned, that you can also waive usage requirements. But again, if what we're saying is that we're willing to have that verified by town council and mass housing, and if that's possible, and the board is willing to do it, we'd like to entertain it. If it's not possible, then it can't be done.
Excuse me, I believe, Mr. Chairman, in one of the planning board meetings that they were discussing this community, one of the board members suggested that why not create like a small shopping area that would basically service the community, right? The pizza shop or a donut shop or one of those things that a dry cleaner or lobster. So something like this, we're not doing an industrial area, we're not planning on anything of that nature. A small shopping center that would basically serve the community and maybe an office building, a small office building.
Okay. Just for clarification, and I probably should have pointed this out, when we talk about the ability to change the zoning, we don't literally change the zoning on that site. We allow for something that's not permitted based on what zone it is in town. And we do this, we've done this in the past, and it usually happens when you have a commercial zone piece of property on, and I'll use the example of Highland Road, which is like between all these other residentials. We allow people to build residential. It doesn't change the underlying zoning, it just allows them to do it. And my understanding, and again, we'll get clarification, this is kind of the same thing that we'd be doing here. It literally doesn't change the zoning of that parcel of land. It just changes the usage. So again, I don't want to dig a hole too deep for myself here, but we will confirm everything with council and make sure we have the ability and it's legal to do it, if we even decide to do it. Again, they've clarified what they're looking for isn't contingent on this, so if we decide we don't think it's a good idea and don't want to allow for it, we can say no as well. Sir?
How are you? Good evening. Troy Currents, member of the Wampanoag Nation. I'm from the Heron Pond Village. I know I've heard some of my relatives and one of my elders speak, and he's telling you guys that there's burials in there. And I'm pretty sure that you guys did an archaeological evaluation, a test I think someone said that, but has anyone reached out to the federally recognized tribes, Mashpee and Aquinnah?
I believe at this point, I'm going to ask, because we did bring this up
Yeah.
months back when this was first proposed, the original version, and we did ask if, because as sure as you well know, the area you're discussing is federally overseen. It's not overseen by the local or even by the state. So we did want to confirm that there were no federal restrictions or anything that shouldn't be being touched out there. So can you confirm, is there any concerns or from a federal standpoint that we know about? Yeah, either one of you.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you recall, we had a member of the PAL staff come in. They actually walked the property with a member of the tribe, and they submitted their report to the board, and they did not see anything of significance on the site.
Okay.
Okay, since I can't,
We're gonna be doing the right side, looking at the screen, because we did not do that in our first study. We did the left side.
Right, okay. So what I would encourage you also to do is, obviously, there are, and this is not my area of expertise, but if you
I
check with the
understand,
federal government
totally.
and they tell us that there's stuff out there that's not supposed to be touched, bring it back to us, please.
and I'm curious who you guys consulted from these tribes that you said walked the land with you?
Bettina Washington, I believe, was the person that
Bettina Washington, yeah. And did you contact David Whedon?
Okay, hang on, listen, if you have
I'm
information.
sorry.
if
Did you
have-
contact David Whedon?
I
was talking to
didn't,
him.
but,
I was just joking.
but if you have information that tells us that they're not supposed to touch it,
Yep,
or there's
Sure.
areas that they cannot develop, please let us
okay.
let us know.
I'll get you
okay?
guys the contact information. I'll call David tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Rosario Gomez Wixon. I'm Darrell's wife, and I live at 149 Meeting House Road in Mashpee. And one question that I have about the environmental impact, the archaeological studies needed for a development of this sort, is if the town of Lakeville has looked into the massive production of King Leonard and the late King Leonard now, who, to my knowledge, was one of the local, if not national experts on this area. And I don't see that any of his work would really support what is now being presented by the board, by the zoning board here. I don't know if that has been researched and is backing up any of this. Just curious.
Nothing has been presented to us. Again, if you have any information or something that that dictates or tells us that from a regulatory or legal standpoint that they're not supposed to proceed, please bring it to our attention.
Yes, the burial sites and the massive rock formations that would be blasted that are part of millenary constructions and all that. I think that that was partly documented by the late Ken Leonard. So we will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Karina Silva. I'm a Herring Pond Wampanoag woman and also a Mascot Wampanoag. Darrell's my cousin. And I'm also a local practicing attorney. And there are too many concerns to even cover here tonight over this development. This is unreal to me. It's on a wetland. I mean, and, your board, whatever decision you make, is going to be setting precedent. And, I understand that every variance has a separate hearing, but they're going to point to this. And if this is allowed, what's next? This is one of the most culturally significant places for all of the Wampanoag communities, not just my tribe, not just Mashpee, not just Aquinnah. And I'm shocked that Bettina would say that there's no burials or nothing here that can be disturbed, because there's going to be thousands of them. This is a huge site, and it's left undeveloped for a reason. And I understand that housing is important. Of course, we have to provide housing, low-income housing. I grew up in public housing. I know all about it. But I also worked my butt off to become an attorney, and I know that there's things that need to be preserved as well. And there's sites that are already disturbed that you could build something like this on. Why are we going to destroy such a special sacred area for housing when there's other places that you could put it that won't require these discussions with New Bedford and bringing in water and all the sewage and the blasting that the neighbors are going to have to withstand? I mean, this is just unreal. We will be submitting information to you because there's lots of it. I'm surprised no one has yet, but that's fine. We'll call the TIPO. His name is David Whedon, and we'll get the letter out to you, and so you can see.
Yeah, if any of this is federally recognized and protected and can't be touched,
Any federally recognized tribe that has a claim to it can do so and is entitled to a full 106 review, which is what I'm going to request here. So, yeah, that's going to have to happen, and it's going to be a lot more than just walking with a Native person. There's going to have to be scans. This is one of the most significant cultural places, period. This would be like us going and tearing down your church, telling you you can no longer go there, and building a house there. People go here to pray. This is a religious site, and they're not going to stop going. People go here to hunt and fish, and we're not going to give those rights up because there's a housing development there. So that's another issue to consider. How is this going to affect the people that are living there when they see people doing ceremony or hunting? Those rights are guaranteed by this state, and we're not going to give those up. Again, I think my cousin made a very, very good point when he said, there's other areas that have been disturbed that you can use. We don't have to do this. We don't have to set this precedent. Please consider that.
thank you.
Could I ask you real quick, what's a TIPO?
That's what I am.
Okay.
I'm your deputy TIPO, Tribal Historic Preservation Officer for the Narragansett Indian Tribe. I am also a member of the Picasset Wampanoag of the Wampanoag Nation.
Good timing.
I haven't missed one of your meetings yet. I gave up my parking tonight. I want you to know I probably will have to park blocks away from my house, but as I have said at every meeting, this is a sacred place. This is a place we come to pray. We also hunt here, but all of our children have walked through these, whether they've entered from 140 or from Howland Road. It's a very sacred place. I'm not that I'm not grateful to Mr. Iannotti for recommending that the land be donated, the green space, quote unquote, be donated to us. There are so many areas within these approximately 200 home sites that are wetlands already. So I'm not really sure how you put a septic system, even a Presby system, into a wetland where you're also going to build a house, because there's no area to replicate wetlands, which is usually what is required. So I think that when they're only able to do 20 houses a year, and this is going to be a 10-year project, a lot of us might not be here in 10 years. And so, how are we going to see this through so that the cultural areas that are so significant to us are preserved for future generations? How are these homes with their potential water systems, their wells and their septic systems going to impact the health of Long Pond? Because this is the watershed that goes under 140 and feeds into the Cedar Swamp. And it's very concerning that we're counting house lots and sizes of house lots when the ANRAD has not been completed for conservation on at least a third, if not a half of this property. The work that has been done more conservation. I'm not sure when the ground's gonna thaw this year. But we're not gonna have those answers probably until the beginning of the summer, is my guess, from both, parties, conservation, and the town's, expert that will come in to follow up. Bettina Washington reported that she couldn't get onto the property because of the briars. So it's not like she reviewed the half that had been proposed earlier on. And so I think it's a poor misrepresentation about tribal involvement, because you've seen me, and that's as much of a tribal involvement as you've gotten until this evening. And I really thank my brothers and sisters from both Herring Pond and from Mashpee for joining me this evening. And that's it.
Eugene Liberatore from 32 Freetown Street. I have so many questions, but to begin with, I don't have it in front of me because I did not realize that there was going to be a question about the degree of ledge. But I believe I saw on the internet that we have in this site the largest concentration of outcroppings and bedrock and ledge in the state of Massachusetts. That is not a fact that I came up with, but one that you can look up on the internet. So when Mr. Itani discusses when the engineers or individuals as part of Mr. Itani's team are advising that in fact there's not much ledge there, and actually we can build these homes without quite a bit of trouble at all. I question the engineering. I'm concerned as a resident on how a board that is representing our community is able to make recommendations when the engineering is incomplete. As so many individuals who wish to purchase or work on a lot or begin to develop a house, there's a whole lot of stuff that has to happen before any permits and those types of things are given. And I recognize this has been a long process, and I acknowledge that there's been a lot of change. I also question, here we have some individuals who have a real emotional and historic connection to this property. And it's a great disservice and an unfortunate and horrible situation that we're in that Ken Leonard has in fact passed away. Because if he were here, we would not still be discussing this project. But to simply say that the federal government can be trusted, can any of us really, as white individuals, say that we can trust the federal government to make a decision that will not further impact the people of this land who were here long before us? Is it not our responsibility to not cast them out because they're different, but rather to listen to the information that they have from generations before? What gives us that right? And not just for the people's sake, but what about the animals that are there? I love them. I don't want to see the deer hit all over the road on Freetown Street. Has your traffic study considered that? When the teenagers are rushing to school, all the deer that live back there, where do you think they're going to go? And is that not a public concern? It is for me. There's just so many concerns. And my final question, and I mean this with no disrespect, Mr. Itani and your team, but really, how much money do you people need to be happy? The residents have begged you. We begged you to reduce the scale of this project. And I hear that you've left some lands there, and if I understand, Cora maybe even donated a portion of it. But how do you know whether that's the portion that has any real meaning? There's been no opportunity for studying, and this winter has not really helped, and we can acknowledge that. But we have to acknowledge the sins of the past and not repeat this in the future. And your opportunity to be able to grant waivers and not extensions, I'm at a loss for the word because I'm feeling frustrated at the moment, but to be able to waive something, we've seen what's happened at LeBaron with the numbers and numbers of appeals and waives. And really, as a community, are we happy with that? Is that where we want to go again? And just because we've given another 650 acres to Mr. Lopes, who's going to develop it on Howland Road, are we going to hang on to the hope that that's where the water is going to come from? Our town that can't afford to keep the pool open at the school, we're not going to be able to buy into that. So we are looking at wells, many wells, and none of us really knows what water does. And Mr. Rattani's team has addressed that fact before. We don't know what's going to happen. And if all of these factors together don't make you, Mr. Rattani, and your team, and all of the individuals who are in the position of power in our town, if it doesn't give you pause to stop and think, is this really the right thing to do? Then I really don't know what other kind of answers or lightning bolts you might need. But we need something big to happen here. Thank you.
Jonathan Riley.
Yep.
So, I've been around, the town, and, there's a few buildings that are abandoned, a few sites. It looks like there's like some sort of like either industrial sized building, there's a couple of abandoned buildings, some that should probably be demoed. And other, have you guys looked into trying to developing those areas? Or, because what happens, I own an environmental company, right?
Yeah, okay, so just keep in mind, this is about this site and this project, not about
Yeah,
potential
well, I'm just-
opportunities around town.
Well, I'm just trying to think on why this site was picked over, trying to better the.
Because the applicant owns this site, so there's no venue to say, all right, listen, we're gonna swap land so you can do something over here. This is the site that the applicant owns, and this is what he's proposing to do, so. Do we have any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Hi, my name's Paul Ziobro, and I'm from 12 Elm Street in Freetown. And I'm just curious, is it possible to stipulate that the archaeological study be done not in the middle of summer when the foliage is thick and obscures the stones and the ceremonial sites that are there, some other time of the year? Just like the snow obscures what's out there right now, foliage obscures it during the summertime. So do the archaeological stuff in the middle of summer. It's not a true survey of what's going on out there. And if you could somehow stipulate that, that would be really good.
We'll make sure they do it at the most opportune time to recognize anything substantial that needs to be recognized out there. Is that okay with the?
Yeah, we'll let them know, we're gonna be, asking them to come out, so whenever they decide to come out, it should be in the next month.
Okay, well, there won't be any foliage in the next month or two, I can tell you that, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
How much would you be willing to sell that land to for us? Would you be willing to sell it?
I don't own it, so I can't sell it to you, Sue, how about that? So
Would
I
the
will,
applicant be willing to sell it? Maybe the tribes and CPA could band together and purchase it?
well, here's what I would suggest that you do. Nothing's gonna happen right now. We're just gonna give them the direction potentially, when we wrap this up, to start engineering and start redoing some of the studies that they've done before. So this is quite a ways away from even
Right, but it's
potentially
just a
being
question.
permitted. So I would suggest you, in a group or whoever you want, reach out to the applicant and start those talks to see if there is any interest. I'm not in a position really to start opening negotiations in public forum.
Put it out there.
Well, you're putting it out there that there may be interest, so the applicant heard it, and I would assume, hopefully, they will answer your call if you give them a buzz.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Any follow-up from board members? We good? So, I'm just going to throw out there at this point, obviously, the applicant has made some adjustments, some changes to the initial proposal. Are we all comfortable with telling them to proceed forward with the list of things we kind of started talking to them about or pointed out, traffic studies to redo those, the archaeological, start with, or move forward with getting the engineered plans ready? Are we at a point where we are okay with them moving forward with this? Again, we're not permitting anything, but we need some more details in order for us to start that process.
Yes, I think we need more information, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the water is obviously an issue. I think we need to kind of explore further and
Right.
get that vetted out.
I mean, the water was going to be there irrelevant as to
I understand.
whichever plan.
We're going to move forward.
Right. My point is,
Individual wells.
they've said, listen, we're going to change the entrance. We're going to turn around and move, shuffle around how the development's going to look. Do we think that what they've sent us is ready for us to start asking for additional information at this point?
So we're looking for the okay to go ahead with the new proposal, which is to develop the entire site for 199
Right.
single-family dwellings with an extra access out onto County Street. That would affect how we engineer the project.
Right.
Yes, we know.
The point
All the
is,
same issues that we had.
the point
before.
is,
We
do
have
we say
traffic,
no,
we have
go back to what you had?
archaeological, We have engineering.
The point is, do we say no, continue on the path you gave us before, or pivot now and show us what it looks like with, we prefer having the extra entrance on County Street. We prefer having the whole site developed, not having a portion of it undeveloped, not knowing what's going to come. Are we good with that?
While I don't want to see the whole site developed, obviously, I like the entrance to County Street. I don't think anyone in this town wants it all developed. But I think we realize that something's gonna happen, whether we want it to or not. I like this proposal better than the other one, solely for the fact of the entrance on County Street and better with the traffic.
Okay. Anyone else have any other comments?
I'm not a fan of the density, obviously, and there's nothing we can really do anything about reducing the number of units. I mean, it's a reasonable outcome here. One clarifying question I have for you is on the ratio of the affordable housing, you talked about, it's gonna be split between the regular versus the senior housing, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay.
It will be 25% of either one, so.
Okay, so
So
that'd be
25% of the-
41
of
units
the-
of the senior housing will be affordable, and 25%
That's
of
correct.
the
25%
regular
of
of
fees.
158 will be affordable.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
All right, so I would proceed with the revised proposal. It sounds like the first item that will be available will be this traffic study, which you'll have available for the town within the next, say, 2 or 3 weeks. Is that
Yes.
a reasonable estimation? So, which brings us, in the next 2 or 3 weeks, unfortunately, it's going to bring us close to the beginning of March. We're going to need to send that out to our engineer to review, and I'm not sure how quickly that will come back, so I think it may be safer for us to potentially have our next hearing in April. That way we'll have received it, our engineers will have received it, they'll have time to do comments on it, and then what I would expect is that we'd have both our engineer and your traffic engineer at the April meeting to work through the presentation and ask questions, and our engineer will have time to review it at that point to point out anything that they need done. And the two engineers will talk in the meantime anyway, so if there needs to be any adjustments done, they can work on getting those adjustments done for April, so we can.
Correct, because not
We can
only
make some
would we have to
progress.
submit it, and your guy will have to review it, then the two of them
Then the
will
two
get
of them
together
talk.
and come up with an agreed-upon presentation.
John, can I just ask a question?
Yeah, come on up to the, you gotta come up to the, unfortunately, so they can know who's asking and know what the question is. You know the drill. I know who you are, but you gotta say name and address.
Chris Sarko, Baker Lane. I just want to know, does Lakeville do a traffic study also? Or do they just take what they get from the developer?
They do the traffic study, and they take what they get from the developer, but they review it against all sorts of data. We went through this process last time,
We
and
did.
and they have
And
national.
Lakeville didn't do their own. They took it from the developer, is what I gathered from the last time.
Correct, they take the information from the developer, but my understanding, and council's confirmed this for us, and our traffic study engineer confirmed it for us, the data they use is information that is accessible and has to meet certain standards. So it's not like they can just make it up. So I think sometimes people think, well, they're just gonna make it up and they're just gonna use whatever they want. We have to believe
Well,
it.
they're just gonna use what they've been given and not do it themselves. So if they do it on an off day, they're gonna say, oh, there's no traffic, we're good, when really that doesn't happen. So I didn't know if both of them do a traffic study.
No, one of them
or
does it,
just
and to
one.
your point, though, if our guy or girl says, hey, you guys only did one day, or you did it on a Tuesday in the middle of July when school was out, they
Right.
look at all the criteria and make sure the data that they used is relevant. So it's not just saying, you give us what you have and we'll take a look at what you have. You give us what you have, we're gonna review it and see where you got the information from, how you got the information as well, so.
All right,
Uh,
thank you.
They can require additional information to be provided or additional
We have-
work to be
yeah.
redone if it wasn't done
We
correctly.
have,
Larry Costan, 45 Freetown Street. On the traffic study, we've seen the traffic study before. I live in Freetown Street. Just today, 204 was stop coming down to the stop sign in the county, 18 minutes. Took me to get, traffic went to number 13. So, needs to be, that's the time you get, you got to look at these studies during these peak hours. That's our concern. Who did our peer for it? Do we remember who he was?
you think I have that good of a memory, Larry? This is probably,
I'm
it's probably
hoping
been
you're looking at
nine
this
months
longer
ago.
than
We can find out who it was. It's public record anyways. But what I would suggest and recommend, if anybody has anything in particular they're concerned about from any of these studies, to email the zoning board, and we can make sure that our engineer references that and checks on it for us.
One last question that nobody asked, and I was sitting there. Has the state seen this plan? Where's the state on this?
Has the state seen what plan?
This 40B project, they have to approve it, right? State housing has to approve this project, right?
They don't approve the layout and the design of it. That comes through
Right,
us.
no, I know
yeah.
it's some of you, but they're on board with doing this project?
Yeah, it has to go through the state to begin with anyways.
Actually,
That's what
Mr. Chairman, it started with the state, and the
Right.
state gave us the approval.
Correct,
To-
yeah. Any 40B starts with the state, it goes through a process, they give an approval. I mean, initially up front, the select board and some other boards in town or some other players in town get the information, they report back what their concerns would be for the town and whatnot, and then the state either gives it a thumbs up or a thumbs down before it comes back to us. So the state is well aware of this.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could I make one suggestion, Commissioner?
You can make any suggestion you want.
Because the archaeological has been a constant concern, why don't we say to make it better effort or make an effort to include them in whatever study they have, because every time they come up here, they say, oh, they didn't include us, or we couldn't get in there. Why don't we make sure some of the people can actually get into the site and actually walk the site thoroughly and make them satisfied and see if there's anything actually out there or not. So they don't come here in 2 months and you guys say, oh, the PAL said it's all set. And they say, well, nobody called us, or this isn't here, or that's not there. Because we've had that twice now.
can respond if you'd
Just
like, or you
suggestion.
don't. Again, it's a suggestion.
Yeah, it's an unusual request. There are lots of liability issues. Actually, we have no trespassing sign throughout the property, and nobody's allowed to walk the property. It's private property. And people that say that they've been walking the property, they're not supposed to, they're basically incriminating themselves. So I would stay away, I guess, if I was them, from walking the site. And PAL is a well-respected organization that deals with those things, and they've done their study and they came up with a conclusion. You cannot question every engineer or every consultant that comes up, and then they were in contact with the tribe. They did their homework and they did their due diligence, and they sent you the report, and we had a presentation for 2-hour presentation from PAL. And those issues or questions or concerns are going to keep coming up to the last day, so they're not going to stop. And I trust the professionals, and I trust the way they handle things. And
May I?
but I understand what you're saying. It sounds easy, but I wish it was that easy.
Noel Rulo.
Go ahead, Noel.
I have to.
Noel, you're not having a conversation with them. No, I can hear you. You're having a conversation with the board, not with
Oh, okay.
Mohammed.
Yes, it's a perfectly reasonable request to ask that the professionals, and in this case, the professionals are the people who know this land. And not, they certainly should be accompanying whoever's walking that property, because they know where those sensitive sites are, where those, oh my goodness. It's perfectly reasonable to ask that they are included in the walks on the property, please. Please be reasonable.
So at this point, we'll start off with the traffic study. And we're going to, I guess reset is probably the best way to put it, all the other work we've done, and you can proceed forward with the new proposal plans and engineering. And obviously, it's come up a couple times, and you've already reiterated, but I'm saying it for public confirmation that as far as ledge and whatnot, we want to make sure that that's referenced in the engineering, so folks.
Actually,
Yeah.
all the ledge outcroppings are shown on the plan. The new section that we added has 0 ledge.
Right.
Actually. So,
But just incorporate it into the engineered plans when we get that, within the talking points. People, not everybody can read a plan, so.
although we will eventually make a presentation with an expert that does the best.
Right.
And he was ready to come in front of the board, and I believe, about the process, how it's done, and why it doesn't cause any damage to anybody.
Okay.
Is there a way we could get that information front-loaded instead of further down the
Oh, yeah,
pipeline?
let me see the availability. If they're available for the April meeting, I'll make sure that they come in and make a presentation.
Okay, that'd be great.
Anything else?
One
Okay,
last
so,
comment.
you can make a comment in a second. So at this point, anything else you need to add?
I don't.
Anything else? Anything else we're looking for? Okay, so we know the traffic study, and if you can get the blasting guy in here, great. Go ahead. One last comment.
So I appreciate the gentleman who wanted to involve us, I appreciate that comment, but it's not a request, it's a requirement. So we are going to be involved in the archaeological study, and our people are still going to access this land for our hunting and fishing rights. No development can exclude us from that. So that's going to continue, and so is our religious practices. We are going to continue to use our land to practice our religion, to hunt and fish. It's not going anywhere, regardless of what's built there. So we have to be involved in that process, which we will be, and I will be sending you some information on why. And we're going to be there for the entirety of that study. And it's not just walking the grounds, it's scans. 106 review requires scanning, so that's going to be occurring as well. So I just want to let you all know that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so we're gonna move this out to the, what did we say, April meeting? 13th, April 13th. So at this point, I guess I would ask if the petitioner would like us to continue to April 13th? Okay. Someone like to make a motion to continue the hearing till April 13th?
I'll make said motion.
Do we have a second? Second. Give it to one of the Chris's. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously to continue to April 13th, same place, Lakeville Library, 6 o'clock. Let's see, we have some minutes from the June 16th and the January 12th meeting. Kathy has distributed them to us. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to review them. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor for both the June 16th and June 15, 2025 and January 12th approval of both sets of minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Our next meeting is actually February 12th, which is later this week. And just for folks listening and to remind everybody at the board, we are at the Old Town Hall. So, yes.
Why?
Because we want to, use some of our historic buildings and the fact that because of the,
Across the street?
that's the one.
Huh.
Yeah.
I'm not here for that meeting, FYI, Thursday.
Yes, you did tell us, but we should be good with 4 of us. So, only because there was nothing else available that night. This room was taken, the police station was taken, COA was taken, and we're expecting more than the 5 of us at the meeting, so that's why we're there. And that one also is going to be at 6 o'clock, correct? Yes.
Is it at 6?
Yes. What do we think?
I know that. I didn't know that. I thought that was.
Yeah, well,
Can
no,
you
that
make it
one's 6.
6:15?
We'll talk slow when we start the meeting. How's that sound?
I kick off maybe 10 minutes late. if
So
I-
my question about changing meeting times to 6 o'clock sounds like that's not a good idea.
I just skimmed it here.
Okay.
I leave the office at like 5:30.
No, that's fine. I
6 is
doesn't
tough,
matter.
unfortunately.
6 is tough.
I mean, that overlaps with not only the working day, but kids' activities too, for me,
So 7 o'clock is preferred.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll keep it at 7.
I'm an early go to sleeper, but just getting here after work for 6 is tough.
Okay.
I mean, if you were to open up the meetings to have more kind of remote access, like if you had a Zoom option for us, that would help.
Jerry, I love seeing you guys so much in person. Just not quite there
No, then we
yet,
can
so.
participate no matter.
Well, here's the good news.
Geographic.
Our
location.
regular meeting on February 26th is going to be at 7 PM, so you'll have plenty of time to do what you need to do.
Say that last one. What date was it again?
February 26th.
Also not
At
here
7
with you
p.m.
either. Be in Florida, sorry guys. Really striking out on you guys.
You are just leaving us hanging all over the place there, Anthony.
If I can change my flight for the next day, I will, I'll let you know.
All right, well, I'm sure Lake Cam wants to get going, so having said that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. You guys in favor of adjourning?
6 o'clock.
Sheedy, you in favor of adjourning?
Excuse me?
Are you in favor of adjourning?
Adjourn.
Okay. Motion carries unanimously. We are adjourned at, I don't have my phone, so what, 7:45.